Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, it looks really good.
Perfect. So I understand that I can start.
Yes, just start whenever you're ready.
Perfect. Hello, guys. Good morning, I guess. However, here is good evening, rather. Welcome from the center of Europe, from Poland. My name is Grzegorz Strawiński, and today I have the pleasure to present you our results of our survey related to the software development lifecycle that we did previous year. A few words about me. I'm in IT for like last 15 years. Half of this time I was software engineer. Then I was penetration tester. Then I was security. Um, I was specialist related to the smart contract security. And now I have pleasure to lead offensive security services directly in Hacken. But let's focus on something more interesting. Hacken is an end-to-end cybersecurity company working internationally right now, and we deliver security assessments for any type of IT assets, starting from the web applications to mobile applications, backends, infrastructure, smart contracts, and blockchains. We also have the bug bounty platform Hacken Proof, and we also have the monitoring tools like Extractor. So basically all suits needed for the modern and enterprise world. About the survey, so we actually have access to a vast amount of teams who are doing the software. Those are our customers and partners. And one day we sit and ask ourselves, well, we are doing audits, but actually we don't necessarily know what are the best or maybe not best security development life cycle practices being done during the development process by those teams. So we created and designed a survey which had around 24, 25 questions split in the several domains. So basically training and preparation, documentation, actual software development and testing of this development result, security assessments done, and finally, when we go to the production, monitoring and preparation for the response. And well, this presentation will show you the most interesting things that we observed out of the survey results. So firstly, who responded? We asked whether the teams, do they outsource this, their software development outside the company realms? And we can see that almost every team, 90% of teams, they do software in-house. This is strong. This is presenting that builders are committed to what they are building. They sometimes use contractors in hybrid model, but mainly they focus on having the teams inside. Also, we ask a couple of questions related to the agile principles, Scrum implementation, and it is there. So it's presenting that those teams can be considered moderate, and whatever they replied, whatever they respond, it's likely true. It's also a good good characteristic presenting of the group. We asked them about the following questions. First, we ask about security trainings, and this is first interesting things. Around 30% of the surveyed teams, they claim that they not have necessarily technical security trainings performed. And similarly, they don't have common general security awareness training performed within their areas. Well, unfortunately, I don't have access to the audience, and I cannot ask you right now whether you guys are doing, for example, internal phishing campaigns against your employees within your company. If I had a chance, I would probably ask firstly whether you have such campaigns, whether people are actually phished internally and whether they are caught. And you will probably reply that majority cases, yes, you have such thing, you were caught, and it doesn't matter whether the person was from the HR or marketing department, technical persons also are caught in such phishing campaigns. And it doesn't mean that if somebody is technical, he or she is not capable to be, he or she is capable to identify such threat. Also, it looks like software developers, some engineers actually are approaching development without the knowledge what security should be implemented by design within the solution. This is interesting. I'm not saying this is true because this is actually subjective. Software engineers are clever. They do research on their own. However, no formal technical security training was done, at least in the 30% of the cases. Then we asked about the documentation. We do document functionalities, technical and functional and so on. So this is a good sign. We also perform the risk analysis following the security requirements that should be implemented in the solution. However, 65%, different number, around 30% of the teams do not do threat modeling activity during the preparation phase. So basically, they do implement functionalities without thinking what are the threats, what is the attack surface, and who can attack the solution or the protocol or the application being developed. Then we ask about the best practices done within the software development, actual software development. We can see that majority of the teams, they do have some Git repositories probably. They do peer code review of whatever they implemented. Somebody is checking each other's job. They do have multi-factor authentication implemented for the infrastructure and tooling. They do have continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines. They also have non-production environments so needed for the proper testing. However, when we ask about the least privilege enforcement, the access control, whether it's in place, it's implemented and enforced, it looks like 40% of the teams claim that they do not necessarily have it. We can have a thought that it means that particular software engineer in the team has probably root or administrative access to the internal infrastructure. Well, this does not need any comment. You know what can happen in such case. But not speaking about the least privilege, there's also thing connected to the access review. And usually such person, when they leave company, they may actually have this access still after being outside the company. So this is the biggest gap identified in this area. Then when we finish development, it should be properly tested. Majority of teams are performing manual testing, which is good. They're checking whether the application works correctly. In majority of cases, developers do write unit tests, which is also super good because unit test is the first security layer actually to check whether the business logic is implemented correctly. And it also allows to catch some interesting bugs or vulnerabilities. Then about environment testing and fasting testing, they're only applied in 30 to 40% of cases. To be honest, it does not mean anything, or it does not mean anything wrong. Like environment testing, fasting, they are advanced, and they are not necessarily needed in every case. Like some protocols are so tiny and so simple, they are simply not needed to have such type of testing implemented. But something else caught my attention. It is actually the question related to the performing of regression tests. This is interesting because every fifth team do not perform regression testing during the software development. It means that whenever they do develop something, they test it, maybe they deploy it, and they do implement some upgrades. The new functionalities implemented are probably tested. However, the residual functionalities, the one that were already implemented or tested in the past, are not tested again, and they are not checking whether the new changes have any impact on the old code. Well, I can tell you about one instance from my experience that I heard about. There was a security assessment for some on-chain protocol, and security auditing team was very good. They identified a lot of vulnerabilities. Also, the client's team was very dedicated and they wanted to fix absolutely everything, every tiny informational issue included, even if related only to some gas optimization. Unfortunately, interesting thing is that when all functionalities were fixed, both teams, I mean development team and auditing team, they didn't perform proper regression testing. There was a tiny issue related to the gas optimization, and after fixing that, nobody checked all the relevant functionalities around this code. And actually this fix introduced another critical vulnerability that was allowing to lock tokens inside the smart contracts. So we actually introduced critical denial of service vulnerability inside the code. And well, only the proper application of the regression test could help here, but it wasn't done. About the auditing itself, 70% of the respondents, they claim that they do security assessment of their solution before deployment. However, when we asked about the upgrades, only half of them claims that they do perform security assessment of the upgrades and future releases. Well, for me, this one does not need any comment. We still have this impression that one-time audit is enough, second is not necessarily needed, and continuous security application is not in place. However, the situations when any new functionality introduces new vulnerabilities is actually quite common. And I can only reference the previous example related to the regression testing. So finally, when we did all preparation, we did all development, we did all testing, and we finally got this holy grail, we went to the production. We asked about this particular moment in time in this period. Majority of teams claim that they have active monitoring of the production environment. However, from the other stance, only half of the respondents claim that they do have prepared incident response plan. This is interesting because why we monitor something without being prepared to respond for some incidents? I'm not sure if you are guys aware how looks security incident handling in the company which is not prepared, but I can give you the insight. So basically, imagine a situation that it's Friday. Everybody finished the job. They went home to spend the weekend on their leisure time. They are waking up early morning on the Monday. They go to the job. It's 8 o'clock, and well, there's a security incident. There's information that our tokens are stolen and transferred to the attacker wallet. So everybody are now invited to some channel or maybe conference. There's a war room created. Like everybody, I mean, CEO, CISO, managers, HR, marketing, like everybody who's available, and they start talking. Firstly, can we blame this on someone? Unfortunately not. It's probably our fault, and we have to investigate it and reply. Then manager is looking for anyone who can check the what actually happened on chain or online. Some junior is available, so they call him and invite him to the room. He's asked to review the transactions and everything what is happening. Well, a couple of hours later, this junior is not capable to deliver any meaningful information. Managers are already anxious and angry. They call some senior from vacation. Senior, after 5 minutes, says, yeah, indeed, in this place, there's a problem. It's unfortunately our fault. This is a vulnerability, and here's the case. But it looks like the hacker was stupid or not clever enough, and he transferred all tokens to a wallet which belongs to the centralized exchange. So everybody are already debating, like, yes, we have a chance to rescue the money. In the meantime, marketing team is reviewing what happened on the Twitter and trying to prepare the replies and official announcements, of course, without coordinating the internally with the decision makers. And now in the war room, they are thinking, so how we should block money on the centralized exchange? Well, nobody's prepared. So they're looking on the website. They found one form, second form, third form. Which form should be used? They don't know, so they issue the request on every form. In the meantime, somebody says that he has a contact to a person from this centralized exchange. After a couple of minutes, this person come back and says like, well, the reply was use the form, but without specification which one. And after some time, the exchange replies with the information, okay, we got your information. However, we need an official statement from the legal entity. And now everybody sees and think, okay, so which legal entity we should actually contact? Entity from our country, from exchange country, from victims country. Basically, time passes, questions rises, and well, problems accumulates. And of course, we have to ask this question during our survey, whether the AI is involved in the development. In majority of cases, of course, they are using AI for the vibe coding and developing and speeding the development of the code. But you may already be aware that it simply increases the chances and possibilities of introducing security vulnerabilities in the code. This is, well, both beneficial for the developers and totally opposite for the deployment time. When we have such code, well, maybe untested or tested, deployed on the production environment. So what we identified, to sum up, there are signs of the high maturity related to the documentation, agile adoption, production monitoring, best practices in the software development. We have security assessments done at least one time. However, there are still areas that we can improve a little. And starting from the proper trainings, applying the security controls, operational security controls like related to the least privilege and access review, applying regression testing, and so on. Let me not read the slide and move forward. Here we have a proposal of 8 things that we can do on top of that, what we have already done in our software development commonly. Well, I hope this slide is self-commentary because I would need just to read it. So let me move forward. To sum up, well, software development lifecycle is a process, especially secure software development lifecycle. And it's something that actually has a lot of conditions and dependencies. I'm not saying here that everything what was mentioned here on this presentation should be implemented and enforced in your environment as well. Every infrastructure, every protocol, every business is different. So whatever you guys are doing, you just need to be aware and select the proper security controls, affordable and adequately to your budgets and scale of the IT infrastructure you're creating, and apply this reasonably. From my side, that's everything. I will encourage you to download the full report from the previous year and also to participate in the another iteration in this year. Both links are available here, and that's everything from my side. Thank you very much for a chance to be there and present the survey results. JC, I'm still here and I'm not sure whether I should stop sharing or there are some questions.
I don't think we have any questions, but thank you for your presentation. It was really good.
You're welcome.